2023 has been a pretty rough year for superhero movies. Ant-Man 3, Shazam 2, The Marvels, and The Flash have done more damage to my brain than all the helium I inhaled as a kid, and the worst of these movies is most likely yet to come. In terms of Disney Plus content, I thought Loki Season 2 was decent, but that's probably because Secret Invasion made me never want to watch a TV show ever again. Yeah, I liked Guardians 3 and Across the Spiderverse, but neither of them blew me away like the rest of you guys. And that's really awesome for you, because I at least got the only thing I needed this year in terms of superhero storytelling. We are getting no more Taika Waititi Marvel movies, baby. But besides that, I got Spider-Man 2. Not this Spider-Man 2, not that Spider-Man 2, not this Spider-Man 2, or even that 2023 Spider-Man 2. I'm talking about the PS5 exclusive from Insomniac Games Spider-Man 2, a sequel to one of the best games I have ever played. I've played video games throughout a majority of my life, and although my multiplayer days of Call of Duty and GTA Online are long over, I love playing through anything that tells an amazing story. I played Spider-Man for the first time about 2 years ago. Even though I heard nothing but great things about the game, I wasn't really prepared for how much I was going to love it. If you've seen a couple of my last videos, you know superhero movies are not really my thing, which made me start to think that maybe superheroes in general weren't really my thing. But after playing that game, I realized I love superheroes and superhero stories. It's just that Hollywood is so bad at telling them right now that we have to go to other mediums to scratch the itch. Insomniac just understands how to tell a great Spider-Man story, with a Peter Parker that we could all relate to and feel for, who is surrounded by a cast of loved ones that we actually care about, and bad guys we can't wait to take down. It's like how Respawn, the team behind Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, just know how to tell a great Star Wars story. Instead of pointless cameos for fan service, they just focus on telling a story that you actually care about, filled with fun, betrayal, cinematic moments, and everything in between. And when they do give you fan service, it's actually relevant to the story that we are going through. The two games that have come from each of these studios proves the point that the best stories for these franchises might all lie in the future of video games. But that's a whole different video for a different time, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that one. There's more heart in Spider-Man 2 than anything the MCU has put out since Endgame. The two main villains are awesome for completely different reasons. Some of the side missions have better stories than their live-action counterparts, and most of the main missions are filled to the brim with cinematic moments. And the craziest part of all is that I don't even think this game lives up to the first one, but narratively it is still so much stronger and cinematic than actual superhero cinema right now, and I want to dive into why that is the case. So there will be spoilers from both of these games, so if you haven't finished either of them yet, you might want to come back later after you play them. They are worth buying a PS5 for in my opinion, but if you don't have the money for that right now, I'd still recommend you play it when you can, or you just watch the whole thing on YouTube, or just get a roommate so you can mooch off his PS5. So thanks for that, Adam. For starters, Insomniac knows the thing to prioritize when it comes to telling a story, and that is making us actually care about these characters to begin with. It's not about the big set piece in the third act, because we kind of know what to expect in that department. And it's not about trying to pull off a big twist, because this team knows that you already know what is going to happen, because we have seen so many of these characters a half dozen times since most of us have been alive. One of the things I loved about the first game was that even though you knew Otto would eventually go bad and become Doc Ock, the script did such an excellent job at making us care about him as a mentor, where all he wanted to do was just mentor Peter and show him the ropes for his career, which makes his turn to the dark side so much more impactful when it finally happens. When Peter loses Aunt May, it hits so much harder than it does in No Way Home, because in one game we get more of a connection with Peter and his final living family member compared to 3 movies of people just saying,
"It's so hard for me to believe that she's someone's aunt."
So when I found out it would be Harry who actually got the symbiote this time around, I was so in from the get-go, because you know exactly how this story is going to end from the second that piece of information dropped. But at the same time, you have so much faith in Insomniac to fill everything in between with emotional moments that build up their friendship that it doesn't even matter that you know what's going to happen, because the moments along the way earn that ending. These two feel like genuine best friends, unlike a lot of these live-action superhero team-ups where it just feels like people that are forced to sit in a room together. From the villain side, you have Kraven the Hunter, who I knew relatively nothing nothing about other than, well, I guess his name is Kraven and I guess he's a hunter. And when his opening scene begins, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's cool already. And then it's revealed the guy is not actually Kraven and was just some goon. And this big bad motherfucker right here just kills him in such a disappointed manner.
I asked for an equal, and this is what you find.
That's how you introduce your main bad guy right there. And the game gives him plenty of similar moments later on, like when you think you've been helping Miles escape the prison the whole time, only to find out that is what Kraven wanted you to do before entering his arena. And God, that whole thing was just such an awesome moment. But the best part about Kraven is that he is so much more than just a big bad motherfucker that walks slowly into a room, because he's already dying, but he wants to be taken down by a predator that's better than him in every way. Scorpion was a cool villain in the first game, and Kraven just kills him like he's playing the game on friendly neighbor difficulty. So when he discovers the power of the symbiote and is satisfied in knowing he can be killed by something so much more powerful than him, I'm sorry, but that's just so cool to me. I usually skip trailers, but I had to watch one for the Kraven movie after playing this game, and I just can't believe how bad it looks in comparison. The entire story revolves a lot around death, and no matter what we do, we will never be able to escape it, whether it be for ourselves or the people in our lives that go too soon. Meanwhile, the MCU can't let any of their characters have an emotional death to begin with. And then you have a second main bad guy in Venom. I always thought Venom was cool as a kid, but I never found him all that intimidating. It also doesn't help that we have two goofy Tom Hardy movies now, and I know some of you guys like them, and good for you, but man. I mean,
There's gonna be carnage.
Yeah, they're just some of the worst movies I've seen in the past 5 years. But this Venom did not come to play. I mean, this guy has got to be like 13 feet tall. When you get to take control of him, it feels like LeBron dunking on children. If Kraven is the cool bad guy that has some emotional depth behind his sinister plan, Venom is just the really scary, even bigger bad guy. But even underneath him is Harry Osborn, which makes Peter and the player hesitant to even fight this thing. All right, that last part was video essay bullshit. I really wanted to fuck that alien up on the football field. But that horror element is still present in a lot of moments in the final act. When the game abandons the horror of the symbiote and just goes full comic book mode, it also works. Like the sequence where MJ transforms into Scream and you have to fight her while discussing all of the problems in your relationship is just so goofy, but it's awesome and genuine at the same time. So I can't help but love it. Having a New York City covered in Venom goo could have been too cheesy for me, but I just went along for the ride and had a great time with it. I knew what to expect from the Peter symbiote storyline based off of Spider-Man 3, but it still caught me off guard since there was no dancing scene here. But I thought those moments were really done well, especially with how angry he gets whenever you fight a big group of enemies.
Where is Spider-Man? Tell me where he is!
Even characters that don't have that many scenes like Norman Osborn or Rio Morales feel fully fleshed out here, because every second of screen time they get contains some sort of moment that shows how much they just love their kid. Again, when you let writers who love these characters more than anything else get behind the keyboard and tell these stories, it gets the rest of us excited to hop on the ride. I don't know as much about Wolverine compared to Spider-Man, but their next game is probably my most anticipated one over the next couple years, besides anything made by From Software, of course. But even though I loved the story that was told here, I do have a couple of minor complaints that I feel hold this game back from surpassing the first game, even though I like it more than the Miles Morales spin-off. Because while we're on the topic of him, I feel like Miles kind of gets put in the back seat of this story. And maybe that was the point, since the ending kind of feels like a passing of the torch so we could focus more on Miles in the future. But you know Peter's gonna come out of retirement to fight the Green Goblin anyway, so what's the point in doing that ending right now? It just never felt like he had anything that important to do here. While Peter is trying to save his best friend from dying, Miles can't write a fucking 500-word essay. Sure, he wants to find Lee, and there is some payoff by the end of that storyline, but I just feel like the writers felt obligated to include him in the story here, rather than it feeling like an organic addition like he did in the first game. Besides that, I also kind of wish the boss fights were just a bit more cinematic. There are a couple that stand out, like the Sandman opening, Peter vs. MJ, both fights against Kraven, and the final fight with Venom are all really cool, but I didn't think any of them were on the level of something like you versus Electro and Vulture from the first game, which is still just one of my favorite moments in not only a video game, but just entertainment in general. That scene is awesome, and the fact that you get to play it just makes it 10 times better. I had a feeling you would have to fight Peter while playing as Miles from the second they announced Venom would be in the game, and even though it's a solid boss fight, I don't get why Insomniac didn't make it a fight swinging around large parts of New York or anything like that. You have one chance to make a Spider-Man boss fight in your series, and you have to punch him up close in a little arena? I know that's a nitpick, but I think if you had to chase the lizard around the city already, you should have absolutely done an even better version of that with two Spider-Men fighting each other. But these are two small complaints and an overall great experience. And I'm so happy that I could say that from a new superhero story in 2023. I know it's a completely different art form than filmmaking, but there is a reason so many of us are worn out from superhero movies at this point. This was originally supposed to be a video about Loki season 2 and the Marvels, but there is nothing about either of them that makes me want to talk about them. Like, Loki had a great finale and Kamala Khan is the only good character in the movie. That's it. That's the review. Everyone else already said it. I know more about movies than gaming, but one keeps getting closer and closer to completely annihilating the other at this point. If the superhero movies want to survive, they're going to have to step up their game significantly, giving us characters we can't take our eyes off of and stories that make us feel something. I can't believe in one weekend I got Kraven and Venom in one project, and then in the other I got a villain who, gun to my head, I could not tell you her name. Storytelling has never seemed more bright and bleak than it does right now. The only question is, will one medium inspire the other to step up its game, or will it fizzle out of existence for good? And as time goes on, we will eventually get the answer, but I'm way more excited for Spider-Man 3 than Secret Wars right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you as always. I know this is primarily a movie channel, but there's a lot I really want to do. I'm really into gaming. I love video games like this, so there will be quite a few gaming videos in the future. So if that excites you, definitely join the family here. This is my social media if you want to give me a follow, but also subscribe so you don't miss any more content when it comes to talking about video games, movies, everything in between. It's just what I like to do, and that's why we're here. And if you like my opinion, you like my personality, hey, join the family now while we're only at 8,000 subs. The number is going to hopefully keep going up, so you can buy some Chase Azarian stock now while you still can. Be sure to like the video because that helps me make some money, and that will hopefully help me make a lot more of these videos. So if you do nothing else for me, just like the video because you had a good time. I appreciate that. You can dislike it if you want. That's okay. Comment down below what you thought of Spider-Man 2. Did you like it more than the first one? Did you like it less? Is Miles Morales your favorite of the 3 games so far? Let's talk about it in the comment section down below. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you agree that these 2 games tell way better stories than anything in the MCU right now, or do you think it's kind of unfair to compare them? I want to have all those talks down below. And that's all I really got today. So thank you so much as always for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks.